Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 27 of Creative Writers and Illustrators. My guests for the day are Mamta Naini and Sanket Petkar, creators of I and I, a beautiful picture book on cancer from Piccolo Books. So, a hearty welcome to both of you.
Hello.
Can you just hold, hi? Can you just hold the book high? I read the e-copy, so I really don't have it. Yeah, great. Okay. So, Mamta, tell me what made you write this book?
I think it's difficult to kind of deconstruct what really made me write this book. But I think there were a lot of factors that kind of led to the story. There wasn't a single incident that kind of inspired me to write this book. So I think I've always been intrigued by the ideas of identity and belongingness, what really makes someone or somebody belong to something. So that has been a constant quest, I guess. So I think about it a lot. So I think that kind of led to this story. So this is a story about a little girl, Adya, and her mother. And the little girl kind of very deeply identifies with her mother. So I think that kind of comes from a personal sort of a standpoint, because I kind of identify very deeply with my mother. So she's been a single parent, and she's the quiet strength in my life. So I think that kind of slipped into the story as well. It was also written at a time when one of my sister's very good friends was detected with cancer. So at that time, like, she was grappling with a lot of emotions of sadness and insecurity and all those things. And she has a child who was about 5, 6 at that time. So it was difficult for the child to kind of wrap his head around what was happening. So I think that, because I was thinking about that a lot at that time, so that sort of led to this story.
Sanket, cancer is such a grim topic. What were your thoughts when you decided to explore this topic through a picture book?
Well, actually, I feel, this book, even when I first read about this script, even I thought, it is about cancer. But eventually I started realizing this book was actually not about cancer, but this script is actually exploring the area of a human mind or the child's mind in a very different, there's a very different perspective, about child's mind over here. As Naini said, about the belongingness, about the relationship between daughter and mother. And when I had got the script, even I was reading about the articles and blogs written by cancer patient relatives, like daughter, sister, and also going through few documentaries. But Richa, then she also briefed me, don't focus on the cancer, but instead, you will have to change the direction a bit. And and that actually interested me more with the script, that my engagement became more intense when I realized that aspect of the script, I would say.
Mamta,
I would like to add,
yes.
Sorry, I would like to add a small point to that. So like Sanket said, that this book is actually about this little girl's engagement with what makes her who she is. And the physical ailment, like, she identifies with her mother, and then her physical being kind of alters because of an illness, cancer in this case. But it could have been anything else also. So cancer just forms the backdrop of the story, but it's actually exploring the ideas of identity, how when the visible markers of identity kind of change, like what this child goes through. I think that's what we have attempted to explore in the story.
So do you think the exploration would have been different if you would have chosen to explore it through the eyes of a male survivor? Because hair is traditionally associated, those are the, as you said, the beauty markers for a woman.
That also, I think we sort of tried to break in the story, because there's a certain amount of conditioning also, because the RG in the story, the grandmother says, like, she talks about the eyes and the ears and the hair and everything. But towards the end, the kind of climax that we have in the story, I think we are also trying to break these ideas of beauty. And the ideas of beauty, like, in the sense, like the eyes are big, but the ears are like kind of frail. So it's not really the traditional ideas of beauty that we are trying to communicate in the book. And towards the end, we also try to break that. So yeah, so that's what we've attempted to do in this story.
Sanket, in terms of artwork, what was your brief? How did you decide to explore? I mean, why did you choose? It has a lot of watercolors, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it is done in acrylic and opaque style.
Okay.
It is opaque medium which I've used. Acrylic colors I've used in this artwork, and rahi baat artwork ki, to it was. I mean, basically the process started, as I told you earlier. Like, whenever I get a script, I do more of a research around the script and the atmosphere which has been portrayed in the script. So I was going through the blogs and documentaries around which are talking about this kind of a concepts and about children. And then in the next stage, I started filtering out words from the script, important words which becomes the essence of the whole story, about the atmosphere of the story. And based on these words, then I started composing the frames. I mean, I have never been following a very traditional approach like making thumbnail sketches or making a storyboard first, because I'm more comfortable, directly drawing on the final piece of paper, directly drawing on that. But there was a lot of back and forth. Like in the very first set of 15 images, like what I had given to Richa, I mean, there was like a lot of discussion happened between Richa and me. And Richa then sent the script to Mamta. Mamta had then, then improvised the script as per the frames. And then again, the script came to me, like revised script. Again, I scrapped almost like 7 to 8 frames, and I had some different aspect, like how it can be shown through the at the very first instance when I saw the script, it had that cinematic aspect which always interests me, and it was like looking at the film like through flipping the pages. So there was a kind of a graph which was going, from a very subtleness to there's a climax in which is happening where the child is contemplating, in the last, like how she can look like a mother. And then finally she decides, okay, this is what is the final option. I have to do it. So that moment of intensity which was building up through frames and through words, I mean, that whole process was very interesting for me, very exciting for me. And I had to, at every frame, it was really a challenge for me, like, to keep up with the words which Mamta had placed in front of me. It was like more like jugalbandi between words and images. This sentence is the actual journey of me also, like when I started making picture books, 10 years back. So I was one of the best example, I will say, of this kind of exercise where there's a jugalbandi between images and words.
Yes, I think that's very important. That always happens. A good collaboration, is always about jugalbandi. So you said Mamta's words kind of made some ideas pop. So can you show me a picture or two from the book as to something which kind of triggered a particular page?
Yeah, there are. So this is the very first image. Actually, I won't say this image is the first image which I conceived, but over here, I mean, when I conceived this image, when I conceived this frame, there was a dialogue between, there was a discussion between Richa and me, like, this book should be treated partially in a flashback. So, there would be frames which would be totally monotonous and, there won't be any color around. So, and since it is a flashback, I wanted it to be like, somewhere placed in some sort of object, and, like how over here, like you see the whole dream sequence is happening, like, flashback, it's not a dream sequence, it's actually a thought which is happening in Adya's mind. Then even I would say this is one of the image, where Adya is like, telling ki, like, yeah, I mean, why can't you wear a wig, like mannequins wear a wig, you can also have that kind of a possibility. So these kind of frames were actually popping up through the words which, and even this is like, this is the, I mean, this is one of my favorite frames actually from the book.
Yeah,
so which is like, which was holding the whole crux what Mamta had written in the story, like I mean, I mean, the whole book actually has taken around 2 years to, to paint. And for the whole 2 years, all these sentences, words, whatever Richa was telling me, I was like, every time it was going in my mind. So the film was completely ready in my mind, like how the camera is panning from one frame to other. So yeah, I mean, so all these things did come out in the book, I feel.
I think the narrative also goes back and forth a lot of times in the story.
Yeah.
So I think Sanket has managed to do brilliantly. Like you can really, looking at the illustrations, you can make out like which ones are like in the past and in her thoughts and everything. So I think that has been rendered like beautifully in the illustrations.
Mamta, to me, this book is not just about discovering identity, but also of self-acceptance. When the mother refuses the scarf, the wig, and a cap. So what were your thoughts when you were actually thinking of the best way to explore the situation?
Yeah, so in my mind, and also with I think Richa is a co-creator of the book, like in the very real sense, with Sanket and me. Richa was always there to kind of guide us and make suggestions, like some brilliant ones. And right from the beginning, we were very clear that the mother does not have a problem with her hair being chopped off. So she is okay with her hair not being there. It's the child who's kind of facing this sort of a psychological crisis because of this physical thing that has happened to like how the physical being of her mother has been altered. So I think it was from that perspective, like right from the beginning, that was the thing that we were very, very clear about, that the mother is totally okay with she has to a certain extent accepted like her hair not being there or chopped off and everything, and it's the child who's kind of facing this sort of an identity crisis.
Sanket, your pictures managed to put a smile on our faces. Be it the tiny figures, the scrawls on the walls, or the pictures arranged on the fridge magnet. You managed to capture. There's a pressure cooker out there. There's the pickle bharni. There are little things which have captured the everyday life of a Maharashtrian family, or I think for that matter, any middle class family.
Any house.
Right? So how did you explore the visuals for for the house?
I think films played a lot of major role, and of course my house itself. I mean, I'm from I hail from a Maharashtrian family, so my house has this kind of atmosphere at home, and also as just Mamta, as she said, like Richa was constantly there, and to guide us, but that guidance, I mean, I'm not exaggerating over here, but honestly, whenever Richa used to talk to me now, I started feeling that, Adya is talking to me. I'm really not exaggerating, because, she has that eye and that sensitivity towards the children, which is really admirable. And it really helped me to navigate through the script. I will say, this project was, in a true sense, it was a collaboration. It was, I really enjoyed. Why I enjoyed over here? It was not like, एक publisher ने मुझे hire किया है, he has given me the script and just told me कि हाँ ठीक है, make 17 frames. But at every frame, at every corner, wherever the paint is going, wherever the drawing is going, Richa was there constantly present, and I think these frames wouldn't have been so beautiful without her and Mamta's words, I feel.
Mamta,
the words, I think, like it was.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It was originally, like the story was originally written as a short story. Okay. So, and I wasn't sure like what to do with that short story. So like I kept on sitting on it and I made changes to the story. I deleted words, added sentences, and I didn't know like what really to do with the story. And that's when I sent it to Richa. And Richa said like there's a sort of a narrative arc in the story and it can become a picture book. And that's how we started working on it. So from a short story, we kind of made it into a picture book story. And then that story went to Sanket, and then Sanket did his magic and he gave us the illustrations and everything. And then we went back to the story because we wanted like a certain part of the story to be in the illustrations and like half of the story to be in the words. So that the kind of jugalbandi that Sanket was talking about. So that's what we try to do.
And I would also,
Go ahead, Sanket.
yeah, I would also like to add one more thing. Like, you know, see, so basically, as I told you earlier, like for me, picture book is more like a film, and especially this script needed that kind of a detailing around it. This I mean, every picture book has its own atmosphere which gets created, but you know, with this, there was a less of abstraction which was needed, and more of the like, you know, a more real atmosphere which was needed in this for this script. So that was one of the, like, you know, cursors, I would say, like I was holding on to, like whatever frame I make and however I bring in the perspectives or whatever objects I'm introducing, they should be, like, you know, very much familiar to all the four characters, I would say, like, you know, mother, daughter, Aji, and the dog, you know, like, so basically how you interact with your space at your home, that is what the reference which I took, you know, like how I am in my studio, how this particular corner, how do I interact with the particular corner or table or a lamp, how do I go around with them. That is what used to be like my brief for myself while composing the frames.
I think it's beautiful, you know, the way you played with light and shade to bring out colors of hope and cheer. So,
Yeah.
you know, does hope have a color palette? Is it emotionally draining to be, you know, expressing something like this? I mean, the book has to come out with like hope and cheer at the end of it,
Yeah.
right? And that's the trail. And through moments of you know, self-reflection and a bit of grimness. Is that something you explored in the book? I mean, how did you go about it?
Yeah, I mean, this whole scenario was very the whole script was emotionally charged. I don't know, like, you know, as a hope, I won't really be able to talk to you about, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, there were times when I used to get emotionally drained, you know, like thinking about the frames and thinking about Adya and what her struggle was, you know, to look like her mother and what this kid is going through. I won't say that, you know, I was really relating to her, or, you know, I could understand what she's feeling, but I would say I was rather a silent spectator around. And while composing the frames, I did make it a point that, you know, like in every script, I do make it a point that, you know, whatever frames I'm developing, those frames are through a lens of some object or some human being. So in this case, it was Adya's mind, actually. If I would say, you know, all the frames are through the mind of Adya, what the mind is encountering or what mind is coming across and what it feels. That is how I was trying to, you know, work out with this script. With the color palette, I would say, honestly, you know, this is my first book that I have used so many colors, because I have been like I don't know, but whenever I work, whenever I paint, I usually use a lot of blues in my work. And this book is, I think, a breakthrough for me, where color palette came into it, and, you know, more because script was itself very emotional, and, you know, it has that strength to bring the tears in your eyes. So color palette manages to settle it, you know, somewhere. I feel that is for sure, I can say.
Mamta, about the use of colloquial words, you know, you use kande pohe and you use the word kirana store, and there is absolutely no information in the book as to what these words are, and there is absolutely no glossary at the end of the book. So what is your take on using these colloquial words?
Like, the idea was basically to be true to the context that we are trying to create in the story. So I didn't want the language to be very alien to the kind of context that we have in the story. So if it is set in a middle class Maharashtrian household, then I wanted those words to be there. That's the kind of language that is used in middle class Maharashtrian households. I wanted to kind of use that language, and I didn't want to kind of exoticize it by putting a glossary there, or by italicizing a lot of these words. So I think that's what I wanted the smell of a household, Maharashtrian household, to come through the language, through the visuals. So that's what like I think we've tried to do in this story. And
So
also in terms of like color palette and sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I think it is like there are poignant notes in the story. Like there are certain things that might be kind of sad, but I felt that it was more a story where we're trying to say that identity is evolving, and like it can be evolving. It's a dynamic sort of a thing. So it is evolving, and yet it can continue to be. So that's what we're trying, and that's kind of hopeful. So we thought like we didn't want a dark sort of a book. I don't have anything against like a particular color palette, but we wanted it to be like hopeful and full of like hope, basically. Yes.
What do you think kids should take away from this book?
I think there are two aspects of identity. Like this is about a physical strand of the identity. There are many other strands of the identity as well. So sometimes just by looking at certain things, like we make certain assumptions about that person's identity. So I think if children kind of identify with the character and kind of think about like their own identities, what they identify with, why do they identify with those things, if is there a scope for them to kind of lose that strand in their identity later on, maybe. So I think all these questions, if children think about, I think that's what I would really like this book to do.
Which is your favorite spread in the book?
I have I think each and every spread is like
beautiful,
brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think this is the one that's my favorite.
Okay.
So the hair kind of Medusa-like hair kind of interweaving into each other. So I think this one I really, really like. Yeah.
Sanket says this is a beautiful jugalbandi, where your words have, at some places in the book, the words have kind of frozen, and Sanket's visuals take over, and just this beautiful jugalbandi which has like worked in favor of the book, right?
I think especially in this book, I think Sanket's illustrations have been more successful in kind of communicating the central emotions of the story, much more than the words, I feel. Yes. So yeah.
So Sanket, there is a visual in the book, the one in the bathroom mirror, right? So in the reflection, you see two blobs of red with something. Is that a symbolic representation of something? I was not able to.
Actually, no. There was basically this kind. I mean, I didn't try to work on that note with the script. Like the blobs which are saying, actually it was an attempt to show the as women, I've seen my mom sticking her tickly on the mirror.
Oh.
So that those were like, I thought I had to bring that thing over there, but like to some extent it does establish, but it was not totally successful, I feel.
So you have another book which has got recently released. Can you tell us something about it? The Coral Woman from HarperCollins?
Yeah.
What magic have you woven into it?
Well, magic has been already done by the woman on whom this book is based on, like Uma Mani, who is an artist, who is a housemaker, artist, conservationist, and a scuba diver. And the very inspiring part of it, she took to her passion at the age when usually people just accept what, wherever they are in their, in their life, like at the age of 45, she takes to painting, and, she starts painting coral, and to experience the coral closely, she goes for scuba diving, and looking at the current state of corals, getting damaged, and environmental crisis which is happening, she takes to conserving those corals. So that journey has been portrayed in Coral Woman, and again, this book is very this book is has a very powerful vision. It's carrying a very powerful vision for the generations to come, and to think about how you are living in your spaces and how it is reflecting towards the nature around you. So I think it was the most it was one again a very brilliant project that, and I really feel fortunate enough to have worked closely with Lubena, who wrote the story, and like to work with Avid Learning and HarperCollins.
You have some artwork from the book. Would you like to show us quickly?
Yeah.
I think 1, 2.
Okay, so I'll show you two frames. So this is the cover.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Again, it's been done in acrylic color.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is one of the inside spread of the corals.
Wow, beautiful. Nice. Very colorful spread.
Yeah. I think it was really interesting to have this book after I and I, because I and I actually gave me a breakthrough with color palette, and this book was really colorful. I mean, of course, corals are colorful, so colors bahut zaruri tha. So I and I ke baad Coral Woman aaya, and it was amazing. I mean, like, I enjoyed working on both the books, and as a picture book maker, both the scripts have a lot of strength. So of course, its workout was a bit different than I and I, of course, because it's the whole anatomy of Coral Woman was pretty much different in a way.
Hey. Mamta, you have another new book coming up with Lantana Publishing, and would I be right if I say that is your you will be making your international debut with that book?
Wow.
No, I've published with Yali before. I've done one book with Yali in 2011, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it's called Rainbow Hands, and it again kind of deals with identity and how we choose to express our identity. So there's no single way to be a girl or boy or both or neither. So I think that's what the book is about. It's called Rainbow Hands. Yeah.
So I think it's getting released next year or later than that.
Yes. It's supposed to come out in June 2022. Yes.
So thank you both for coming. I hope both of you bring a lot of joy and color to children's lives through your books, your words and artwork. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shyamala. Thank you for having us over.
Can you hold the book? Can both of you hold the book?